asking questions. So, go ahead and chat them and so forth. And Adriana can read them to me. But in the
Yes.
meantime, we've done so many of these things. We've had so many questions and answers. While you're thinking about them, we'll hit a couple ones that are really quite important to learn.
Don, please explain them. What is the difference between recruiting and sponsoring? Because usually people don't understand that at all.
Well, basically, we're saying is what's the difference between sales and network marketing? Because sales is recruiting. When you are recruiting people, they are working for you. Okay, sales managers, people work for the sales manager. Okay, when you are sponsoring and teaching people to duplicate, you are working for them. So the deeper you go, the stronger it gets. Now, one of the big questions I get, because I have such a huge organization and over 90% are in Europe, I live in San Diego, okay, area of San Diego. And, they're all like about 7,000 miles away. And they say, well, how do you motivate these people? And I tell them I don't. I teach them how to motivate themselves. Okay, now, first of all, I had a publisher in Australia who said he read my book 10 times. And every time he read it, he learned something new because he was kind of reading at a different level. Okay. Now, when you are duplicating and you're going deep, I'm going to show you how that will motivate you more than anything. In fact, people spend thousands of dollars to go listen to these motivational people for 2-3 days, and they're not even building a business themselves. Okay. But they do motivate you. And that motivation, we call it hot bath. You know what happens? You get out of a hot bath, you cool off, okay? Motivation, I'm going to teach you right now, you don't cool off. Let's say that you are asleep and you've duplicated and you're down 2, 3, 4, 5 levels deep. And the person, you're asleep, but while you're sleeping, somebody in your downline sponsored somebody, okay? You get up in the morning and you look at your genealogy and you see that you've got a new person that came into your business while you were sleeping. Folks, that will motivate you more than anything. See, when I get up in the morning, not counting weekends, I average over 600 people a day coming into my business, okay? Boy, am I excited, okay? I'm totally motivated. But see, it didn't start with 600. It started with one. And that's the whole thing about our industry. It starts with one. See, it's the biggest industry in the world where the blind are leading the blind. People who don't have a clue about how this business should be working are teaching other people to do it. I'll give you a good example. I think you've all have experienced having someone do a training where the first thing they tell you got to make a list of 100 names. Wrong. That's not network marketing, folks. That's what sales managers do with salespeople. You tell me, why do you need 100 names to sponsor one person? Now, with the way we're doing this with the owner life approach, virtually everybody you know would love to own their life once they understood it. You start with one, and then you help them get their people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You never run out of people to talk to. They talk about, oh, you got to recruit a lot of people to get started. Wrong. You need to sponsor one. Get started with the one, and then you get another one. In the process of helping that one, someone else will naturally come along that you can sponsor, okay? So it's just crazy how, these companies out there, they have different ways of doing the business about every month. And I'll tell you another thing that's stupid. They have contests. Okay, the contest is who can recruit the most people like in a certain period of time, or who can sell the most products in this period of time. Folks, they're setting themselves up for failure because that's not duplication. Those people don't stick around. See, if I were doing a contest, it'd be real simple. I would say, do it on a point system. When you sponsor someone, you get 1 point. When you help them sponsor someone, you get 2 points. When you help that person sponsor someone, you get 3 points. As you go down, progressively you keep getting more points. I contend the person that sponsors 3 to 5 people and duplicates will beat the salesperson out there recruiting 100 people. They won't even come close. But see, these companies just don't understand it. Question.
Don't be ashamed.
Hey, Don, Jim here.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually have a little scenario and then a question at the end. I was kind of reverse engineering the whole process of sponsoring somebody, and thought, okay, so the end result I'm after is someone in my company duplicating. And how did they get there? Well, they got my website. How did they get that? Well, they asked for it. Why did they ask for it? They saw the tools that we're using. Why did they see that? Well, they heard the explanation of what owning your life means to us. And why did they hear that? Because they heard the question, have you ever thought about owning your life and what that would be like? So we're good to there, right? It's just click, click, click. Meaning, as soon as I ask the question, that will trigger them saying, what do you mean? Or yeah, I have, or whatever, as to owning my life. And that'll trigger seeing the tool, etc. So here, now the question, because you had mentioned, don't start anything until you've created that connection first. So can you give us some ideas as to creating that connection that leads into being able to ask, have you ever considered? You know, you don't want to just walk up to somebody and say, hey, have
Hey,
you ever
Jim,
considered,
Jim,
right?
Jim,
What?
Jim, you're wasting my time.
Okay, go for it.
Well, you're not listening. I said that I wasn't going to talk about talking to strangers because you don't have to. You'll never have to talk to a stranger. Okay? Why waste our time trying to figure out how to talk to strangers when you don't have to do that? You already got.
So then,
Everybody can find one person who wants to own their life that they already know. And then you help them
right?
people they already know, and they already know, and they already know. Never talk to a stranger.
Perfect.
Okay? See, this is why
Avoid strangers, everybody.
okay.
And that's true.
Folks, that's a good example of why, we have people coming back on a regular basis to the Zoom training. Now, I will tell you this, and what I do on Wednesday and Fridays is identical to what I just did. Okay? However, Adriana is probably one of the best translators I ever have, and she does the translating, for me. Okay? And we recommend that people come back, because you don't get it all the first time you hear it. After you hear it a couple of times, it starts sinking in, okay? And then, of course, after we take the picture, there's one thing I forgot to mention. We do questions and answers, and now we're starting to do testimonies, okay? We had a woman a couple weeks ago that said that her first week after hearing the training, she sponsored 2 people, and each one of them sponsored 1. That was in her first week. Compared that to taking days, weeks, and months. So it's really important. Of course, normally the English attendance isn't as big as the Polish attendance on, because we normally get 25, 30 people or more on the call. We've had as many as 100 on the call, but what's happening now is a lot of people are getting the recordings of the call, and they can do their own Zoom trainings. All you have to do is set up a Zoom with your people and link, share your screen with the people and let them watch the training. And then after the training's over, turn it off and have a sizzle session, socialize with the people. So anyway, beyond the question and answer, we are going to the testimonies and so forth. And it's different. The testimony, there's always something different every time we do this on the testimonies.
I tell you something more, that on Polish Zooms, people are coming just for answered questions or question or answers part, because it's more important for them to listen once again the presentation that they already know.
Hey, what's really funny for us is that like we have like 30, 40 people on a call, okay? And we say, we're going to take the photo and so forth. And then Adrian explains to them why we're doing it and so forth. And it just amazing to see all the people pop up with their hats.
Yes.
That's really funny.
I encourage you, if you have somebody who is talking in your language, and of course in English, you can also run something like that, such a kind of Zooms here, and join your friends to that Zooms. It's the best way of teaching MLM, real MLM on your life approach. So take consideration about that.
See, what's happening too is that like we have, about maybe 10, 12 companies actually using my app now as a product, okay? And, you're going to come across, somebody, that is a leader in a company and they start using it and they take it to the owners and so forth. And, it's just, we're open to do trainings for a particular company, large group. We're here, we have people from all different companies. We don't mention products and so forth. So we're happy to do it. And we don't charge them for doing that and so forth. And, it's really kind of amazing. Once I get to know a company owner and you're going to keep, this is funny. I tell them, I said, I can save you over $100,000 today. They said, how are you going to do that? I said, well, fire your sales manager. You don't need him. Okay. They're just absolutely hurting their company. And once they understand this, they realize it and they get real excited, because now this company starts to grow and people aren't leaving, it makes a big difference. So anyway, let me tell you something else that's really important that kind of evolved to, and
Overhead.
Overhead, she's got it.
Yeah.
See, remember, we're not looking for people that are into health, okay? Because number one, that's a small market, 8%. You already heard all that part, so we don't bother with that. So once a person's gone through the training, they're ready for the vehicle, we have a conversation with them about overhead. Now, see, there's 3 ways of building a business. There's a product approach, which if you use that, you'll never build a big business. It's the slowest way possible. You've got the business approach where people talk about the business. That's better than the product approach. But the problem with that one is the word business. Because what do people think of when they hear the word business? They think of brick and mortar, putting up a building, inventories, payroll, long hours, okay? That's what most people think about. And of course, the third way is the lifestyle approach, which we're teaching, which is the fastest way possible. Okay, so we're ready to get the person started with, our company. We talked to them about overhead. So do you realize that other than now, buying the app at $20 a month, you show me where you can start a company, make millions and have an overhead of $20. Now, in addition to that overhead, you've got to make a purchase of a product from your company each month to get paid, okay? And all the companies are different on how much that is. Now, for example, I go through our different products with recommendations, so forth, what product a person should take, because they don't know about any of this. They've never taken a health product in their life. So I recommend that something for them. So they buy the product to satisfy their overhead. Guess what, folks? They're not satisfying the overhead because they want the product. They're doing it because they want to own their life, okay? So now what happens is that in 6 to 10 days, if they've never taken a product before, they come to me and say, Don, I can't believe how good I feel. Older people might say, gee, I haven't been regular like this in years. People are excited about the product, okay? Now, most companies have an auto ship where you get the product automatically every month at the same time. Let's say you don't do the auto ship and you forget to order the product. 6 to 10 days after being off the product, the experience you have will be greater than when you went on it. See, that's why I've got people that signed up 25 years ago with me. Back then, we didn't have the app system technology. We didn't have any of this, the book or anything. And so they're not building a business now, but they still order the product every month. Now, let me tell you, another thing happens. When the person has the experience with the product, most companies will send out a catalog with an order. Or if they don't have that, at least you have all the products on the internet. Now they start looking at your catalog or the products because now they're excited about the product. Prior to them getting excited about the product, they wouldn't give you the time of day to look at it. So now they start looking at it and they say, gee, I want to try this. I want to try that. I want to try this. Before you know it, they're ordering 4 or 5 other products from your company. Folks, note that they are selling themselves the product. You never have to sell them anything other than the opportunity to own their life. Now, if that was not clear to anybody, ask a question. Okay, now let's move on to why the Own Your Life approach is so powerful. Number one, something people don't think about or never thought about. Now that they start thinking about it, it's kind of like putting a little stone in a person's shoe. See, everybody can relate to having a little stone in your shoe, but they don't do anything about it. The little stone we put in the shoe has the ability to grow, okay? Kid comes home and says, Mom, Dad, can you go to my football, basketball, baseball, whatever sporting event? And you say, sorry, but we got to go to our job. Stone just grew. Person walks into work 20 minutes late, the boss gets on their case, the stone just grew. There are hundreds of ways that can make that little stone grow. I have people days, weeks, months, and years after using this approach, I'll get a call and say, Don, are you still doing that program? Especially people getting close to retiring and they suddenly realize they're not going to have the money that they wanted to have to be able to retire comfortably on. So it's amazing how they've remembered this after all those years. They'll call and say, Don, are you still doing that program? So all I got to say, folks, is it works. Okay. You heard the Jimmy the Butcher Smith story. There's tens of thousands of stories out there like that. So anyway, try it. You're going to love it. Hey, any other questions? If you don't have any, I got plenty of material here to go give you. Probably one of the biggest questions people ask is how do you get a new person started in the business? Well, you already know now, you have them go look at the Zoom training. Okay. Well, anyway, I tell them the most important thing they need to do is to get a job. Okay. Because see, there isn't a network marketing company in the world where you can start off from day one, make enough money to pay your mortgage, your car payment, your credit card bills, put food on the table. Can't be done. Okay. So you need a job. Now, the thing about the job, you don't have to like it. But see, you've got a light at the end of the tunnel because you have a way out. See, most people don't have a way out. Now, there are 2 exceptions to what I just said. Okay, if you have a spouse like I did, my wife supported the family for 7 years while I was figuring all this stuff out, learning it and so forth, before we could get to the point where she did not have to work. Okay, the other exception would be if you have enough money in the bank to live on comfortably for a couple of years while you're doing the foundation. Because see, remember, you can make a little money while you first get started, your first month, but the only way you can do that is you've got to sell your products. Okay, and again, people don't want to sell. And if that's what you're doing, everybody that you sell to does nothing to contribute to your foundation because now they already know, they think that it's a selling business and they don't want to do it. So it'll just take you forever, if ever, to build a business if you start selling your products first.
You said in your book that recruiting is when you are joining someone who already have an experience in MLM. Is it only that situation, or recruiting is also when
okay, I know where you're going. Okay, a lot of new people coming into the business. She's so naughty today. When people first come into the business, they think they're going to go recruit people who are in other companies into their program. Okay, let me tell you, the three toughest times to do that is number one, if a person's in Amway, okay, they're making a lot of money, or they just got started in a program. Okay, the analogy to trying to do that would be like trying to have an affair with someone while they're on their honeymoon. Okay, that's not going to work, folks. You've got to wait for signs the honeymoon's over. The checks are late, the products are back ordered, your upline keeps trying to get your people to recruit and sell, all kinds of things that can cause the honeymoon to be over. So once it's over and they're divorced, now they're free. But see, during that period of time, just keep them as a friend, keep communicating and quit trying to recruit them. It doesn't work. Just get to know them. So when the time is right, you'll be amazed that they'll be coming on board with you. Questions? It's funny how many people relate to that, Adrian.
Yeah, I have a question because somebody asked me, all right, what is the best company to join? What is the best prospect to talk with? And nobody is asking what is the best characteristics for good sponsor?
Okay, first of all, you got the two elements. You got the vehicle and you got to know how to drive, okay? Number one, I would really recommend, if it was a choice between a better sponsor or a better company, I'd go with the better sponsor, okay? Because you're never going to build a business if you don't have someone that's pounding the same peg, so to speak, and trying to get to your people to recruit and sell. So that is number one. As far as the company, I don't get into that on these calls. I do it privately because, I've got my opinion about different companies out there and I don't want to give it to here because I don't want to offend anybody coming on the call and like to help everybody on the call. So I'm not going to go there with that.
Okay. And I have more questions, but I forget.
Well, I would say one thing about the company, make sure that the company you're going with is going to stay in business, okay? Because I don't know if you know this, but 90% of the new companies, when they start up, are gone within 2 years. Okay, and biggest reason is that they don't know what they're doing and they're trying to recruit people to sell and people don't want to sell. So some people think it's a big deal to get in a brand new startup company. That's not really true.
People are asking me, for example, is it good if I will, for example, provide two MLM companies together? Is it possible to make it big in both?
Well, over my history in the industry, we categorized companies into like a major effort program or a minor effort program.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, there's something that comes along that has like one little demonstratable type product that you just show it to someone, they want to buy it and so forth. And, those kind of programs don't normally last, but they do generate a lot of people really quick, which then you can gravitate into your major effort program. But you should always be just focused on one program. Now, another thing too that brought something else that you should know, the difference between making an emotional decision and a business decision. Now, here's your emotional decision, okay? You want to sponsor somebody and let's see, how is this working? You got, person has, say a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, or somebody else who's already in that program that you want to sponsor them in that same program. And so they got to make a decision whether it's emotional and go with their relative or their friend or go with you, okay? Well, they can go make an emotional decision and go with their aunt, uncle, cousin, whatever. who's not even building a business. She's been in the business 6 months and hasn't sponsored anybody. She doesn't have a clue about network marketing. So that's an emotional decision. I say, you want to go with them? Go ahead. You're not going to make any money. If you want to make money, make a business decision, go with me because I know what I'm doing. So that's how you handle that kind of situation.
Okay.
Another one too, people are going to say to you, well, how much money are you making? Okay. Man, that is first of all, rude for them to ask it. And it's stupid because would you ask a pre-med student how much money they're making before they became a doctor? Or would you ask, any profession while they're still in school, how much money they're making? Say, hey, I just got started. I'm in school with network marketing. The only thing I'm not going to have to go for 4 years, to be able to be educated. I can get educated really fast now with all the tools and stuff that we have. But I'm just getting started. So why don't you wait till after I get started and give me, 6 months, a year, whatever. Then ask me how much money I'm making. Okay, that's how you would handle that. Most people just don't have a clue what to do when people ask them that question. See, another thing too, in the Q&A section on the app, I'm telling you, when people go through all those Q&As, you learn so much, okay? I think my very favorite one, I'll just give you an example. The way those are handled is that Jeff Romaldi, he's asking me the question, then I answer it. They're done on Zoom. Most of them run 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, and the question was, I heard Don talk about your 2 choices in life. Okay, and so my answer was, well, your 2 choices are to get a job or get an opportunity. But see, there's no colleges I know of anywhere that teach opportunity. It's all get a better education to get a better job. Okay, now think about this. To go to college for 4 years, how many books did you have to buy and read? How much time did that take you? And what's your student loan look like after those 4 years? Now, by the time you go through the 4 years, they've got your mind programmed. If you get a master's, MBA, you get a better job. Okay, more books, more money, more time, more student loan. And some people even go on and get a PhD. So you get the better job. In 10, 15 years, most of the people hate their job anyway. Most of them are going to end up halfway broke, whatever. But now look at opportunity, okay? You read one book, not just once, read it several times. Now you have a degree in network marketing. You get the app, you learn everything on the app. Now you have a master's degree in network marketing. You put into practice what you learn, and 3 to 5 years, you can own your life, have time, money, and your health, and a PhD in network marketing. Your 2 choices. What do you want to do? Get the job. Hey, look at my son, Joel, okay? Not Joel, Josh. 1 year of junior college, I talked him into quitting because he wanted to be a professional photographer, okay? So he's now 22. He's making $12,000 a month as a professional photographer. There wasn't a course he would have ever taken in school that would have helped him to that point. He just took a special course from the top cinema photographer in the world. The course was $900. There were 3,000 people that took the course. At the end of the course, they had a contest who could do the best film, 4.5-minute film and edit and so forth. And Josh won the contest over those 3,000 people. And for winning the contest, he got an $8,000 camera. And the guy that did the course is taking him to South Africa to do a filming. And now that guy wants him to be his assistant. Now, let me tell you, folks, that all is because he owns his life. Now, I own my life, and my kids, because they own their life. See, when Josh was growing up, I had time, money, and health. I could afford to buy him his own drone. And the old, what do they call that? The old Pro camera that goes with the drone. So he had a lot of experience in, filming people like on a kite, flying behind him, shooting him, and so forth. So when the contest came about, he was just head and shoulders above everybody on there because owning life. Joel, this is something I just found out yesterday. Of course, he just turned 17 and he's got his private pilot's license. Now, to be a pilot, it takes a lot of hours. You start off renting a plane for $120 an hour or a day or whatever. And you have to pay $75 an hour for the instructor. Well, you get rid of the instructor pretty quick, but you still have to pay to rent the plane, okay? Well, we end up buying his own plane, okay? Now, gosh, it's really cool because for $20, he can go fly as much as he wants every day and get the hours. It's all about getting the hours. Okay, now, this is really amazing. But see, you don't have to have a college degree now to be a pilot anymore. Most airlines, they've waived that, don't have to because they have such a shortage of pilots. So anyway, he's got his plane now. And like when he's ready, different stages you go through. His next stage, he gets licensed to be able to, fly in the clouds. So you know how to handle your instruments, and then he'll move up to another stage and then he'll move up to double. By the time, catch this, by the time he's 19, he can get a job paying over $100,000 a month. And he's already looking at this job where this company is hiring people like Joel, young people, to be companions to a drone. They're flying these drones out and they want somebody in a plane flying alongside of them that can report back to them what's going on and so forth. And that's going to get them massive hours, okay? I have a neighbor that, it's a child from a first marriage that lives like 3 hours away. They drive periodically up to pick them up. It takes 3 hours to drive up and 3 hours back. So I had lunch with him yesterday. I said, well, I'll talk to Joel. Why don't you have him just go up and pick him up? You just buy his gas and takes him an hour and 15 minutes, 10 minutes to go pick him up, bring him back an hour and 10 minutes. So all this stuff goes back to owning our life. Because see, when Greg and Doug, my two sons, were growing up, I was able to take them during the week, 1 hour, one way, just to get their tennis lessons and practice, so forth. Both of them got college scholarships. Greg has a daughter, Jessica. You can look up Jessica Failla on Google. She ended up getting a scholarship at University of Southern California, $62,000 a year for the scholarship. Place was too liberal for her. She got out of there, went to Pepperdine. 2 years there, $72,000 a year. She was injured her junior year, couldn't play. So she got another year of eligibility. She got a master's degree in the law school, $92,000, all from tennis. And then COVID hit, she got another year eligibility, another $92,000. Okay, so now she's a professional tennis player. When she graduated, she was All-American. She wouldn't be there if I didn't own my life and Greg didn't own his life, okay? Now, I mean, she's actually got one more week and she's going to the UK to play tournament. She's been all over the world already in the last year. And she spends a week in the UK, one tournament, and going to Israel, play a couple of tournaments, so forth. Folks, that's examples of what you can do when you own your life. Heike, glad to see you. I knew you were coming late.
Sorry for that.
The good example, folks, people, once they've heard my training, 3 or 4 times, it's the same every time. And, it's different after we get into the Q&A and testimony. So there's a good example. She's come back for us.
The Q&As, they always vary. So that's a very interesting and very important
This is true.
part because it has something to do with the practice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's no theory. So out of the practice.
Then how do you think, is it better, for example, to sponsor or to look for people that are from your town or from your surroundings, or you don't have to care about this?
You know, like I said, my people are all 7,000 miles from where I live. I mean, a lot of people say you got to start with your neighborhood. Wrong. You start with where you know people, and it doesn't matter now with technology. I mean, because Zoom here, I mean, you know, I've got a couple Zoom calls coming up here. One I've got to be on in 10 minutes, and it's just going to be like 2 people, okay? But they're in my own personal downline, and another one at 1 o'clock in my own personal downline, okay? So it doesn't matter where they're at, you know. I mean, look at Heike's in Germany, Matt's in Sweden, you know. Silky, she lives next door.
she is the most fortunate, yes, one.
I've been doing this for a year on Facebook and have met and have thousands of friends. She is the first one that lives in my same area.
Wow. You are the lucky one.
I guess we're both lucky.
Yeah, sure. Silke, you are the first time. What do you think about that system? What is right now here teaching Don?
I think it's a very great system, and I'm super excited to use it because it's different. And like he said, own your life. I mean, yes, everybody wants that. How can anybody say no? I'm still haven't been able to figure out by just listening to it how I will connect it you know, with my company that I'm in, and how that flows. But you know, getting started with that, I think even, you know, with the little phrase, I'm gonna be using the little phrase instead of something else. So I really love it, and I'm super excited that I live so close to Don. I can actually meet him in person. So I think that's definitely a total bonus. I didn't even know. So I'm super excited that he reached out to me and said hello. And yeah, I think this is amazing because a lot of people don't want to sell, and the people, you know, want to sell. I mean, I see this all the time. So I love this because I want to find something that really works, and not how, you know, and teach that to my downline, because that's always the struggle, the duplication. And that's the most important thing to build your business. So I totally agree with that. And I'm super excited.
Well, I'm glad she's excited and being able to express this to us, considering this is the first time she's been on a call.
Yeah,
I am I love the concept. I absolutely love it. And no, he didn't tell me to say that.
So Matt, what do you got to say today? Unmute Matt.
Matt, can unmute yourself.
Yeah, I not have so much, but I also like this concept and work together with you, the concept and book. First time I listened to you and Nancy was in Kristianstad here in Sweden in the spring 2098. And I work with the other company and we listened to how your presentation, the book, and how we work with the pin. So now I work with this concept and 24 years back.
So anyway, I'm gonna have to leave here, you know, like in about 5 minutes. But when I do the seminar with training with Adriana on Wednesday and Friday, it's translated into Polish. So let me give you a hot tip, okay? You're gonna hear me in English, and if you want to take notes or something, you take notes while she's translating. The translating goes really fast. So that way, if people don't want to wait until, you know, next Thursday, you know, for the next training, whatever, you know, they're certainly welcome to join. One thing that, because, you know, she has been doing this so long and she could practically do the whole thing herself, when I get to talking about what's in the app and 3 to 5 ways, we do all that without translation. She just does it with the Polish. But when she starts doing that, once she's through doing that, then we go back to having the translation. That's working out really well.
I think that people during my translation are learning Polish, so you know they are not able to make notes.
Oh,
we need some other translator. So Silke, if you speak German, think about something like that, similar, please, because we have a lot of people from Germany that want to, you know, talk with Don in German. Yes, so this is an opportunity to make you famous.
That's a great idea.
To have a meeting with him in the garden and make it so wow. This is
well,
great.
what I think is amazing, because usually I'm on the call for approximately an hour after my training,
Mhm.
answering questions and doing stuff. And then I usually got something else I got to get going on, and I go ahead and leave the call. And I call back over an hour later to talk to Adriana, and she sends a message, I'm still on the call. So anyway, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys, and we'll see you next time
Okay.
around. And
So thank you very much for all of you to be there. And I invite you next week, if you only wish, join your friends together here and have a nice week. Next week, weekend and everything. Bye. See you next
Bye-bye.
time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.